welcome back. Ignore the fact that we're wearing the same clothes. This movie was Ouija Room. Now, this is going to be an interesting one to talk about because we're also in a very indie, cheaply made horror movie. So anything we say now is going to come back and bite us very soon. I can give them leeway on a lot here. Like the sets and, the just the overall area. Like you mentioned, they broke continuity with the house a bunch. And, whenever you looked out windows, you didn't really see much. It was all contained into one house that was clearly just somebody's house, not a set. And the effects, obviously, were done on no budget at all. But there's some things that I still can't get past, even though it is an indie movie. A lot of the writing and a lot of the acting, and this is a huge pet peeve of mine, it's not how people talk. Like, there were a lot of times when people were talking to each other and it just didn't feel like a natural conversation. And I can tell you, again, as people that are in an indie horror movie, we put a lot of emphasis on that. We rehearsed and practiced and rewrote lines specifically to make them feel natural, so that when we delivered them, it felt like a conversation between people that knew each other and actually had some sort of relationship. This didn't do that. And it was across the board, too. I mean, the girl and her brother felt weird and fake. Everything with the doctor there, or the therapist, whatever you want to call him, that was just awful. The whole thing was just, it wasn't well done. And that's the one part of it you can do with no budget at all. I mean, anyone can have a conversation with someone. You don't need money to do that. So if you get that wrong in an indie film, there's no excuse. You're just not doing a good job. What's your take?
Yeah. I will say, I like when the movie ended. That made me happy.
I don't want to be too harsh, because this is most likely the first thing that anyone involved has ever done. And I get how indie works, but this was...
No.
This was bad even for an indie film. It's not
even one of those so bad it's good, like you can make fun of it. Like, it's just hard to watch.
This was Velocipaster all over again. This was just so bad, it's bad.
Yeah.
So, I want to give them credits. I just don't know how.
Like, I get Davis is like, okay, I've been thinking
Davis
about this movie.
is the director of our horror movie.
Yeah. He's been wanting to make this movie for a long time, and it's been a long time in the making. And there's a lot of times when he was just like, fuck it. We've got what we've got, and I'll make it work. But for something that's like this, where it's way more simpler than what we're going for, because that's like a one-location shoot with no effects.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, a couple people, and they could have filmed it all in one day. And there's no reason why they couldn't have put effort into it. Like, when they looked at the footage going back, did they not review it, or go like,
yeah,
holy shit, why are we doing this, or we need to get different actors in here, or
that's the thing,
I'll get my dog and cat to play better actors than these people.
Obviously not everyone is an actor. I mean, like, even some of the people in our film, they're not going to be the next Tom Cruise, myself included. But
I'm not looking forward to seeing myself on film like that. I don't think I'm going to be any better than these people.
I'd like to think at least a few things done better.
I sincerely hope that at least one person comes up to me after seeing the movie and says, that sucked, I didn't like it. I don't want people to just go, oh, good job, so good, yay for you. And I'm like, no, if it sucks, tell me.
Trust me, the first stranger that sees our movie will let us know. All we have to do is put it on YouTube, and everyone will let us know.
That's true.
But... yeah, this is just, it is an indie film. It's very much an indie film. And I believe I found this in Walmart, so I'm really curious how that happened. But it's really not great. It's mostly because of the acting. A lot of the other stuff I could overlook because it is indie. If it's low budget, that's fine. Lots of movies are low budget. I don't need tons of effects. I mean, everything else could have been okay if the acting was there. But it wasn't. So overall, this was just not enjoyable.
The little girl demon?
I don't know why that wasn't a little girl.
Before they showed her, you heard her voice first, but I for real thought it was a little girl.
Yeah, the laugh was great.
And she was like, oh my god, we have one good actress in here. And then it turned out to be, just a normal old lady teenager in a little kid suit that somehow sounded like she had a little child perfectly dubbed over her own voice.
Oh, that is another thing that I thought of a lot that I want to mention, and I know this is rambly, but I have to talk about indie films. Again, weird one, in case you didn't know. But I really hate, this is a huge pet peeve of mine, and it happens in lots of movies, but indie films especially, crazy and juvenile are not the same thing. I absolutely hate, in any movie, show, anything, where people try to portray crazy by acting like a child.
Right.
It's not, children aren't crazy. They're dumb. They don't know the world yet. They don't understand things. They're not crazy. They just don't get it. Crazy people are something completely different. So you can't just talk like a baby and just act like this and, oh my god, what is the world? Like, that's not crazy. That's annoying.
Right.
I hate when they do that in movies. And unfortunately, the main girl, that was half of her delivery. It drove me nuts the entire time.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that, for any aspiring movie people out there, if you're watching this, I don't know how or why, but if you are, don't do that crap. It's wrong. It doesn't come across the way you think it does. It's not scary. It's not eerie. It's not interesting. It's just stupid and annoying.
I agree 100% with that, but did Goth Girl with the pointy fucking hair, did that annoy you, or are you like, okay, that's interesting?
Honestly, I'm pretty sure I've seen that look before. That didn't bother me. I actually had questions more about how she saw through the hair. Because for the longest time, you only saw the side profile.
Right.
I'm like, how is this working with line of vision? Like, how annoying is that? But then when you saw her from the front, it was so cut down the middle. I'm like, you know what? That's probably not that bad.
There were times when she was
dressed worse.
There were some times when she was talking with her hands and it was going right through her, like her hair piece right there, and it was just like, boing, boing, boing. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, another thing, and this is completely tangential. The continuity here was an issue, and that's not actually what I was going to say, but I'm interrupting myself. They really need to work on that. With small films like this, it's easy enough to nitpick when things are obviously wrong, so make sure you at least get the little shit right. I know we've reshot scenes entirely because we left out a prop that should have been there, or because the lighting wouldn't have matched the prior scene, or whatever the case was. Like the orange bag, I know we've left out, you don't know what we're talking about. There was a major prop, we forgot, we had to reshoot an entire scene. It was an extra 2 hours of shooting because we missed the prop and we needed continuity. Here, they didn't care at all. The Ouija board changed halfway through the movie. I don't know if that
they did this weird poof and it was all of a sudden more demonic looking.
Because that was just weird.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
But there was, and a big one, I know you caught it as soon as I did because you actually mentioned it. In the one believable, well-acted scene in the movie, the guy wakes up from a nightmare and he's talking to himself, which is fine. People do that in real life. You talk to yourself in movies, that's fine. He's like, oh, I better consult my therapist. And then he refers to his bottle as a doctor. He has a mock conversation with it, and then, well, if you say so, doctor, and then takes a drink. That was believable. It was well done. I actually enjoyed that bit. However, because they had that scene, they called attention to... I don't know where that cut out, but the video just cut, so if there's a weird skip, that's why. But basically, the brother was in his bedroom, and he was talking to an alcohol bottle, and it was a really well-acted scene. I enjoyed it. It was well-scripted and well done. There was one funny bit that was both realistic and just good. However, it drew a lot of attention to the alcohol bottle prop. And then later in the movie, when the sister went and got his bottle of alcohol, it was a very, very different bottle. Like, not slightly, like a slightly different amount of alcohol or a different label. This was different color, different shape, different type of alcohol.
And the other one was
everything
like a
was
vodka.
different. And I don't know why you would do that. It's really easy to keep track of props. We've done it a bunch. It was very noticeable and a very easy mistake to not make. So the fact that they made it just really seemed off. And little stuff like that just...
Well, like you said in the beginning, when the Ouija board, when she was doing things, she was saying that the Ouija board spelled this, but she was just doing it gobbledygook.
Yeah, that was another one too that kind of bugged me. It's just little stuff like that. Instead of indie, it just comes across as amateur.
Right.
Like, there's a difference.
Right. Put some effort into it.
Yeah.
You know? Doesn't cost anything to actually have your actors
Yeah, exactly.
spell out a word.
The one thing that doesn't cost money is extra space on a digital camera. Like, you can take the time to film the scene well. you can take the extra 2 seconds to keep track of your props and to track continuity. So I'm not going to make fun of it for being an indie film, but I am going to knock it for not being a well-done film.
Right. You know, my biggest thing was they built up this whole food thing, and in the end, the demon just gave her a lollipop to give to her brother. I was hoping that the demon would be like, "Hey, put this rat poison or some shit in the
I
food."
really thought that was going to go somewhere.
Where I wanted it to go.
I was kind of in the same boat, actually. Like, I really, multiple times, thought to myself, oh, they're going to cook some elaborate meal, and it's going to be, like, poison, or she's going to cook the brother, or, like, something crazy.
Right.
And then it was just a very anticlimactic, oh, hey, here's a poison lollipop that materialized out of nowhere, seemingly.
Right.
So, yeah, I was let down. It was a disappointment, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it. I'd give it maybe a 1. There was 1 or 2 scenes that were okay-ish done, and I don't know, I'm trying to be nice and give credit for trying, but it definitely needed to be a whole lot better.
Oh, I can't even give it a 1. I gotta give it a 0, man. It was just... It just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. It was a slog. Like, if you're going to watch it, you really buckle in. Because it's going to take you a bit. It was 79 minutes, and let me tell you, I felt every one of them. That was a long movie.
Yeah.
For being a short movie, that was a long movie. But yeah, that's all we're going to say about this one, because our rant already feels like it was almost longer than the movie. So we'll see you tomorrow for another one.